for next week's assignment.
Okay, great.
So
Good.
still in the brainstorming phases.
Good. How about you, Allison?
Yeah, I'm kind of at the same spot. I was just looking at stuff here this morning, kind of, yeah, research, looking into some things to track. I mean, I took your suggestions too, but looking into those a little bit further. So
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So I love to mention, because some people really benefit from this, and we're recording this for everybody, that the big reason why I have this project, and I'll explain how it makes a shift halfway through the course as well, is because I think it's very healthy for all of us to feel what it feels like for clients and groups and the public and people that we'll work with in various entities, like how it actually feels to really hone in on oneself and figure out, okay, what in the world can I do and why? And how can I make this a process so I can integrate this and it becomes just part of my normal lifestyle for the rest of my life, right? And so I think, I mean, I actually do it every time I teach the class too, because I think it's just healthy for me, especially when I work with other people, to feel it over and over again. And we can never improve ourselves enough. Like we never attain perfection, right? Oops, sorry. So I think knowing that as we go in this may help everyone like figure out, okay, yeah, I don't need to do this perfectly, but I need to learn how to have a little introspection without having too much and like leading me away of my everyday life, right? And just like a healthy balance throughout it all. And everyone's individual, so everyone's different. So that's why I love the emails and the feedback and the back and forth that a lot of us have had, because everybody is so different. Like everyone's project is so different. Some people, like two people are diminishing the risk for the same disease, but the way in which they're doing it, of course, is like so different. And so I think that's really key as we learn all of these, methodologies and theories of behavior change and things like that, because it's not like we always pick one theory when we work with others. It's sort of like we pick pieces of each theory and put them together for that individual. And it just starts to become natural. Like when I work with people now, I'm not like, okay, well, the trans-theoretical model for this person, I don't do that anymore. I just like naturally pick and choose from them. And I do feel like it enhances my ability to work with others when I do it for myself every once in a while, with one caveat. And that is, it's important to refrain from trying to mirror what works for myself for others, right? Because we're different. So that's a big point. And we always have to remind ourselves of that. Like if I ever catch myself, which I do, I tried a certain supplement for this and it worked for me. Like, that's just doesn't work. If you talk about the benefits that, research shows and, this group did this and these are the results. So, perhaps this is possible for you. But I think there's one key in working with others is allowing them to choose their path. And that's why I love this project, because you're all choosing your own path. It's empowering. You really wonder and ponder and figure out what's related. I keep bringing up sleep with many people. Like, do you think this is related to sleep in any way? Because sleep to me is like the biggest nutrient of everything. Our bodies just function better in every way from sleep, good quality sleep. So yeah, it's just, inquiring, meeting people where they are, things like that. So this is what I'm hoping you gain from us working together with these individual projects. And soon, in 1 to 2 weeks, the whole project, you'll keep tracking your own behavior change because you will use that in your final paper or presentation. I tell people they can do either, which I'll expand on later. But we will shift the project in a few weeks, and you'll be given a group of people who want to diminish the risk for the same disease that you chose for yourself in a group setting. And then you'll design a program so that you can not only work with 3, 5, 7, 10 people at once, but somehow you can support them all individually without working like crazy. Right. And that's a challenge, but there are ways to do it. And there are ways to do it so that people build a social connection and understand one another at a deeper level. And as we all know, social connections are so important for health as well. So, anyway, so that's like that. I mean, I just love this project because every time I get feedback after people graduate and they're like, oh man, I'm doing this for real. You know, it's like so nice. But so it's a big lift now, and it's a bit confusing at times. It's fine. Nothing needs to be perfect. Ask questions, you know, brainstorm with yourself. And if you're done brainstorming, or if you just had too much, then throw in the towel for a while. Don't think about it and then come back to it. Because we're all human. So,
Mhm.
so that's
You know, for when I first started to write down what I would track for baseline behavior that's in relation to, I'm doing type 2 diabetes. I thought, I mean, it's fine. Like I sleep enough, I do this, I do this, I do this. And then when I started journaling in the evening and I started writing, okay, well, I have this, and my daughter had a nosebleed, and I was up at 3 a.m. and then I'm stressed about this. And when I thought all the stress I have is normal, all the sleep I get is normal. But then when you really start to track it and detail it, you're like, okay, I've been telling myself this is all normal, but it all does relate to your choices that you make within the day that are related to diet and physical activity and lifestyle.
right.
But, you know, we do tend to diminish what we're going through. Like if you're in a survival mode of just mom life or student life or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
it's so important to consider that, and you don't do it until you really start this project.
Yeah, it is interesting because we've all normalized our lives anyway, right? Yeah,
Especially the older we get, I feel like.
totally.
So it's making, I agree with you, Laura, like I felt like I was doing okay, you know, with everything. And then, yeah, looking at it on paper or whatever, it's,
Yeah.
you notice what it's leading to.
Yeah. And I think
Mhm.
it's beneficial to see what other people are going through too, and what they're discovering and what their ideas are, because I mean, you all motivate me a ton, because every time someone is like, oh, well, so-and-so was, you know, in the family, this could have been connected. And in reality, almost every chronic disease is connected, right? The
Mhm.
underlying foundational factors, but there are just so many factors that which one do we hone in on right now? And yeah, it's just healthy. So I don't know. I'm diving into, so I'm going through perimenopause. So I'm diving into learning much more about hormones. I don't have that much stuff, knock on wood, happening, except I just like started waking up sleeping sometimes, but I go right back to sleep. But I was like, huh, that's not great. And so that's what I'm working on. And it's actually, so far it's helping. I get a little bit of a head start than you guys because I already know what's going on. But it's motivating to go through at the same time. And I'm not perfect. I don't do my stuff every day, but I try to. And yeah, you have to just give yourself some grace as well, you know, because we don't want to stress ourselves out doing this. So
Right? It's all connected.
yeah, it's all like this wheel. It's like this wheel that keeps
It's
on
like
spinning.
stress, sleep, food, stress, sleep, food, workouts.
So funny. So crazy. So anyway, all right. So do you have any questions about the course, about the assignments, about expectations, like anything like that?
Not that I can think of. I joined just to see what we were going to talk about, and if anybody else brought something up, I can consider it. But so far, I think it's going well.
Yeah. Great, great.
Yeah.
How about you, Allison?
Nothing from me. I think I'm good. I mean, so far so good. So
Okay. One question I have for you all is usually halfway through my courses, if people are writing like response posts with substance, I change the requirement from 2 responses to 1, and I just weigh that one more heavily. so far, thus far, everyone's responses, like I would say 99.9% of the responses so far have been exactly what I would expect, even when I go to one response. So do you feel like that's in your favor? Would you like to change to one response in week 4? Or would you prefer to have 2 responses? Because the response or responses will still be worth 3 points in grading. I guess also, do you like more interaction with your classmates, or are you all interacting enough already so you know each other a little?
There's a few classmates that I've interacted with through several courses so far. And so I don't mind doing one. And to be honest, I'm super stressed because I'm moving to another country in about 28 days with 3 children. So with this course, I'm trying to work ahead to do as much as I can so that, in week, I want to say week 7 is when I'm doing the move, which is right before, the entire project outline and the whole project is due. So I'm always good with one response post. I will not complain.
Okay. And we can talk, do you want to end the course early?
I'm hoping I can finish my assignments and everything earlier so that when I get to Beirut, I just have like a few things to wrap up.
Okay.
I like to be preventative. That's just me in nature, so that I don't work well when I'm like have to do things last minute. So
Right. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. It's exciting. It's a lot, but it's exciting.
yes, both.
Excited for you. So great. Well, it'll be really interesting also how to integrate like what your feeling is in Beirut with like social connection, social support, like, and even ingredients and fresh food availability and stuff. It's fun when students are living. I've had many students live abroad during this program, and it's so fun to hear like, one was in Switzerland, one was in St. Croix, one was in Brazil, Argentina, Australia. I mean, I could go, and it's so fun because everyone in the course gains a perspective then, and it's so valuable. So
it is, and the social connections you can't compare to here. Like here, we're living in the States, we're living our lives really alone, doing it all. I mean, in Lebanon, you just have a community. You have help. You have people who genuinely ask you, what do you need? What do you need me to help you with? What can I do for you? They just show up at your door with a meal. The fruit and vegetable market is right downstairs, then next to the meat market, next to the bakery. So everything is fresh. They come deliver it to you. You just call them and say, send me like 2 heads of lettuce, 2 watermelon, or you're like, the order I did last time, same order. And he'll be like, okay, it'll be up in an hour. It's great. Like people ask me, are you going to miss like Amazon and this? I'm like, no, because I have a built-in Amazon in my community in Lebanon.
Yeah, that's so
and of course the food tastes different. The fruits and vegetables. I was there in May with my husband, and there's a few classmates, Taylor and Jen, and a few others that are in other classes now, and we have a group message. And I sent them pictures of the fruits and vegetables at the market there. And they were blown away. I mean, just the way they just look different.
Yeah. That's great.
So
fun. So fun.
Exciting.
It's great. Yeah. Maybe you should teach a course then while you're over there.
Right? I know. I've been looking at, they have like the American University of Beirut and Lebanese American University. So I'm going to start to look into that and maybe take additional courses or get involved somehow. So it'll be a good experience.
It will. Yeah. Yeah. I've lived in Europe for a few years, and, but it depends. I lived in a few different places. The more south I went, the more fresh the fruit and the vegetables were. But the more north, I was appalled. I was just like, ugh. These apples been sitting in a basement for 3 months and then you sell them? Like, I was like, ugh. But yeah, but then, I mean, when we go to Central and South America, it's amazing. I feel like the fruits, especially, they're just, they're gorgeous. They taste gorgeous. They look gorgeous. Yeah. So that would be fun. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So let's talk about the final project then. So it's a paper per this syllabus. And it encompasses the whole personal behavior change, and then it encompasses a program for a group for behavior change. And everyone's program is going to be different, which is what I expect. So they're unique. There needs to be, of course, specificity. Like I dove in deeper, I think, with almost all of you about your specificity for this study, for your individual study. So how can you do that for other people? Because that enhances the, that correlates with the chance of successful long-term change if we really set specific parameters about what we're going to do. And the whole reason is because when we visualize things, then we tend to do them more. Like it's like an athlete running the 400-meter or 200-meter hurdles or something like that, right? They visualize it constantly when they're not training, and that actually enhances it. And so it really does. And once people implement that, it becomes more natural too. So then the next behavior change is even easier. So that's one reason. Some people don't like to visualize by writing down a bunch of details. They like to think of the details and actually close their eyes and see themselves from a third person point of view and just see it happen. Other people actually, and this is 50-50, when they visualize from a first person point of view, like they're in their body doing whatever. And so it's just interesting to notice like what you're doing, what's your go-to, what's your typical easiest way to visualize change. And so those are little things that you can find in research and like performance psychology when you work with groups, and that you can integrate into your program. And it doesn't have to be exactly that. There's so many different things that we could do. And so, I've even had someone who grew up with a brother in a wheelchair. And she was like, there are no programs. There are no health programs for people in wheelchairs besides like seated aerobics or seated yoga. And she's like, why is that? Like, let's bring them together. They have different challenges and that's not. And so she found so much research on the psychological motivational factors of people in wheelchairs to be healthy. And so you can do all sorts of things. You can be very unique and do that. And the interesting thing is people want to start their own businesses after this. The more unique we are in our businesses, the more successful they are. I learned this through a business class, or like 3 businesses courses that I went for entrepreneurship. And it's fascinating. They're like, yeah, if you just see clients for nutrition, yeah, you'll get some, it'll wax and wane. But if you see clients for elite sports nutrition, or like I concentrate in 2 areas. One is elite sports nutrition, and one is women's health during conception, during pregnancy, and during perimenopause. And that brings clients because they think, oh, you know what you're doing. And actually it's easier for us because we can hone in and really get good at something rather than, there's so much in this field. So you can use this project to sort of do that, because if you want to start a program later, just try it now and, incorporate this with it. It's always good to experiment. I have also had alumni reach out and say, that project I did in your class, I actually just started it in a hospital. It's like, it's so funny. And so you utilize these things later, hopefully, or pieces of them. And people, even during this program, a lot of people who have kept a file on the side of things that they've written that they've really enjoyed and thought would be a really good blog or something for a website, something like that, they use them later. They just tweak them a little bit. They're already written. So you may want to keep a file on the side just in case you want to utilize that stuff. And other people print them out and bring them as a writing example to interviews when they work for like a insurance company who is hiring health coaches or something like that, or health education. So those are all little tips you can do. So back to the final paper. So you can do it in a paper format like you've been writing with reference lists at the end, or you can do it in like a presentation format. And usually it's some kind of slides. It doesn't matter what program you use, as long as I can open it. It's fine. I love learning new programs, so I don't shy away from that.
So the slides, the presentation slides, it would be like a Canva or PowerPoint, and then us speaking.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You would speak. And it's beneficial to really, I mean, some of you have already had courses in this and some of you haven't. Usually it's the last 2 courses, but sometimes the order changes in our curriculum. When we're creating the slides and speaking, it's very advantageous to put 1, 2, or 3 words or concepts on that slide, or 0 words, because it's so hard to read a slide and listen to the speaking at the same time, right? We actually don't really let the information sink into our brains then. So, so please, like, feel free to also, like, if you want to make 1 or 2 slides and send them to me by email, I'll give you some feedback. And then you'll sort of know what you're doing. Of course, everyone can be different in this, but it's just the visual stimulation has to be engaging, but not overwhelming. And that's kind of a little art to learn if you haven't had those courses yet. So
The final paper is 4 to 6 pages.
4 to 6 pages without the references. Honestly, double spaced. Honestly, most people go to 8 pages, and I'm fine with that. Especially.
And then what is the time for the presentation?
Oh, that's a good question. What was it? I had taught this class a year ago. I want to say it was 5 to 10 minutes.
I feel like I'm so attracted to the idea of a presentation because it's easier, but then it just takes me triple the amount to put the presentation together, like the visuals in this, just because
some people are the
slower.
opposite. And some people are the opposite. It's so fun. And that's part of the reason I offer this, because I think you should work with your strengths. You've already worked writing. If somebody is really talented at presentations, they've done enough of that all session. So it's fun to do something else. Yeah, so it's your choice. It's absolutely your choice. So if you're doing the paper and or presentation, and there's a lot of information to convey, it's very, I welcome charts, graphs, a visual diagram that you can get off of another website and just, refer to it properly and cite it, because those can encompass so much information in a very short and concise way. And that, I think, is what in this field we have to remember a lot. Like, that is so much more enticing to the public to learn from us when we create those types of things. So you can use those throughout the paper and throughout the presentation. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything that would enhance this course more or motivate you all a little more, or any wants, ideas?
I like the Zoom check-ins, especially if, we have questions about the final project. So maybe another one like week 5,
Okay.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I usually do a Zoom check-in week 3 and 5 or 3 and 6. So I'll put another survey out during week 4, or week 5. Yeah, that's great. And
other than that, I'm enjoying it a lot more than I expected. First, I was like, oh, it's just another course. But when I'm now, as I understand the details of the assignments and the projects, it's very necessary, and it just kind of pulls everything together that we've learned. That's what I found so far, is that this course just pulls in all the, research that we've learned and then how to apply it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's much more hands-on than a lot of the courses. Yeah. Have you all taken your electives yet?
This is only my 2nd course in the entire program.
Yeah.
The first summer session, I had research methods. So this is completely different than my first course, and I'm enjoying it a lot more. And I think the subject matter really is what it is, and more interactive.
Right. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it is, you're taking this course really early in the curriculum then. It's,
Yeah.
it will be interesting to see, Allison, like how you can hang on to things in this course and then apply all the information, like the hard sciences that you're going to learn. And as you learn it, think of how it plugs in. And I'd love, after a few of those courses, do you mind dropping me an email and telling me how you feel that order is?
Sure. Yeah, because I think there were only 3 of us starting the program at the
Yeah.
beginning of the summer. So, because they scheduled me for 2 classes, and then when they saw there were only 3 of us, they just kind of like threw us in, I think, with other classes. So we would have a bigger class sizes and
Yeah.
Was your first course was the epidemiology, nutrition
yes.
epidemiology?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's a hard one to start
Yeah.
with.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought, what did I get myself into?
That's a
This
No,
is
no,
my
you got the
first
hardest
class,
part out of the
and
way.
Yeah, it's true. You're done with the hardest part.
That one was my toughest. I have one more class left after this. It's nutrition program design in fall
Oh,
2.
good. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I don't teach that class. I teach sports nutrition for the electives. And
I took that one. That was enjoyable.
yeah, who taught it when you took it?
Reister?
Oh, yeah. Evan Rice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so that one's fun too. That
Mhm.
one's also a little hands-on, I feel. Uh-oh, we're frozen.
Yeah.
Allison, can you hear me?
yeah,
Oh, okay, good.
I'm good.
I think Laura just is in an
Oh,
area.
yeah, I think so.
So yeah, well, it'll be
Yep.
interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, this actually might be more beneficial for you because you got the crazy intense course out of the way.
Yeah.
And now you're getting the big picture, and
Mhm.
then you're going to hone in on the details. And that's why I'd love some feedback because maybe it's worth flipping some of the order.
Yeah.
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 Huh. It's interesting. All right. Well,
What is your what is your behavior change or prevention like that you're doing, Allison?
I'm trying to meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm starting with 5 and I'm increasing it to 10 every day before I go to bed, within an hour before I go to bed. And I'm also like not looking at a screen for that hour, things that I've tried on and off, like I'm doing those things. So, and so far the funny thing is it took, gosh, 8 days before I woke up one morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I like slept through the whole night. And now I'm sleeping through the whole night every night. And it's fascinating. We have an air conditioning issue in our house though. And we've had this new system installed and it's not working right and all stuff. And so our sleep is affected because it's crazy humid and a little hot. And we're tired of sleeping on the couches downstairs. So we're back in our beds. And so I have to wonder, I'm hoping that gets alleviated soon so I can see even more of a difference in how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
sure that's affecting it too. So
Yeah, I'm increasing my fruit and vegetable. It was weird. I had decided on this before the article and stuff for this week because I'm home all summer. I teach, so I'm home all summer. I just snack like crazy and I don't eat that stuff as much because I'm snacking on junk. At school when I'm working because I have my routine and I pack that stuff for myself I am in a culinary room, so I'll raid my pantry or fridge if need to. But just when I am home during the summer, I eat like crap. I mean, my exercise, because I run up to 20 miles a week. So I use that back to I use that as my excuse I can eat this donut or 3 cookies or whatever it is.
what about shifting the thought of running and consuming nutrients to enhance your runs?
Well, and I do,
Like,
if
does
I'm
that work
doing
with
longer
you?
runs, I do kind of pay attention to what I eat, usually pasta the night before, you know, and then I usually do some type of protein before, like that morning, even if it's just like a protein granola bar.
Yeah.
When I do longer runs.
It'll be
Like
interesting.
over 6 miles, but
Yeah. Do you think you'll take the sports nutrition elective?
I would like to.
That would
And
be
It's a
that's,
great one.
for you.
well, too, I have a lot of my students are, you know, athletes, and I think of it from that aspect too, because they're always, you know, well, this is what I said in my last class. Energy drinks and caffeine stuff, they just rely on that. I'm like, if you would eat better,
Yeah.
it
You
would
know, I have
much different.
for my last course, I did a presentation to my son's soccer team. He's in 5th grade on game day hydration and fuel. And so I also got a really great resource from the local Los Angeles Galaxy soccer team. I got from the nutritionist, I got their youth nutrition guide, which they also give to their MLS athletes. So I have that in PDF form. I'm going to email it to you both. I think you're going to find it very helpful. They've put it together. It's just very well put together, and it includes so much information. I have like 20 copies at my house, but I also emailed it to all the classmates from my last class. I was like, you guys need this. It's so
Wonderful.
good. So I'm going to send
Yeah.
it to you.
I would love to see it. Yeah. And the fascinating things like about hydration, like the most important time to stay fully hydrated and properly hydrated is 48 hours before a competition. And then the second most important time is 24 hours. And then the third most important is the day of. And people, and then if we look at energy fuel in a sense, like it's so important to have good carbs like the week before, but how you space it out and everything. And then, you know, like the fast carbs, there is a time and space for them. And it also depends on the sport and the event and the position in a team sport. But if we back up and think about, are there nutrients in this carbohydrate we're eating? Like if we're having pasta because we need the fuel and the glucose for the duration of a run, that's right before. But actually 24, 48, and even a week before, our whole grains are also going to store glycogen for energy, but we need those with nutrients. So we need whole grains, we need quinoa, we need brown rice, we need vegetables or carbohydrates, we need tons of leafy greens, and not because our body can't use the energy that we're storing unless we have all the vitamins and stuff as cofactors, which you'll get in all the science courses. It'll be really interesting to like see like how your brain starts connecting all these things, because it's just fascinating. It's just fascinating. Yeah.
It is, especially like for example, my husband's like, you know, I'm trying to decrease my egg consumption because of cholesterol. And I'm like, okay. But you also like, that's so commonly thrown out, like,
Yeah.
oh, just don't eat eggs, avoid eggs. I said, but look at what else we eat. Like we follow a Mediterranean diet. We're eating fish, we're eating lentils, chickpeas, salads, fruits. So you're not heavy in like the saturated fats. And people forget to make the connection between how much saturated fats are you eating when you consider cholesterol. They just go from dietary cholesterol comparing blood cholesterol levels. So
Right.
there's just so many
and it's
missing
different
factors.
because eggs actually have very, very, very little correlation with the blood cholesterol levels that are drawn. That's like that's a previous what they thought was a fact, but it's not true. But actually now the studies between sugar consumption, refined sugar, and cholesterol is crazy. So
really?
Yeah, so it's actually the whole process in the body that they're trying to figure out, which they're getting at. But that's what I would hone in on is sure,
Refined sugars.
saturated fats, sure, they make a difference. Like if we eat ice cream every night, our cholesterol will go up. But refined sugar, it has to do with the inflammatory factors that are increased. And when our inflammation, like our C-reactive protein measures our foundation of inflammation throughout the body, when that goes up, that's related to a lot of refined foods, like processed foods and sugar. And then that affects the whole chain up to like cholesterol and how our bodies store it and think, oh, we need more of this bad cholesterol because we're inflamed, and then all that stuff. And it's fascinating. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's an important one. But for him, I don't think it applies. He doesn't eat that stuff. He doesn't eat like processed foods, but that's an important point.
Yeah. And the other thing that they recently started studying more intensely, which I love, is stress and cortisol. And once we enter our 40s, 50s, and 60s, there's like this rate of increase of our body reacting to stress with more cortisol. And the theory is, you know what, maybe it's because we've dealt with so much stress throughout our lives. Now we're sort of like at this, like our tank is getting full. And as that's happening, the stress is affecting our bodily systems more, because cortisol goes up, and then that hormone affects these hormones, and then that tells our body to do this with cholesterol, and it's like, why are you doing that to yourself? So and then we go back to individualization, like who's affected more by the sugar and the saturated fat, the cortisol. And so yeah, it's a puzzle, but it's interesting. It's thinking about it. It's great that he's thinking about it.
Yeah, those are all important to consider.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we should wrap it up unless you have anything else to share.
No, I don't think.
Nothing for me.
Thank you for taking the time to meet. So nice.
Thank you. This was helpful and fun.
And of course, everybody reach out to me anytime, and I'll be here. And yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good one.
Great rest of the week.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.